Hello, beautiful soul. I want to speak to you soul to soul today and hopefully meet you where you're at, hopefully offer you some comfort. But really what I want to address is what I believe is the biggest illusion that often keeps us feeling stuck, overwhelmed, separate, confused, untethered. And there's a lot of fear that's circulating the globe right now. This is nothing new. We learn in the human experience through contrast and through polarity. So the darkness that we experience is a lot of the unhealed, unintegrated shadow that we might experience within our own psyche, within our own being. But the biggest illusion, I think, that often pulls us off track and often holds us back and keeps us spiraling and feeling like we're not enough or feeling like we somehow have to abandon ourselves in order to fit in order to achieve, in order to be accepted or validated in this world. And that's the illusion that we are separate from the divine. I teach soul embodied manifestation, which is really a coming home, a return to the truth of who you are, not your personality, because our personality is created largely through our conditioning. And in our personality, we're often led by our small self or our not self, which is our ego identity. And when I speak of ego, I like to refer to the acronym of EGO, edging God out. And that's exactly what we're doing when we are identifying with our personality. We are believing that we are separate from God, that we are separate from the divine. And this is where we lose our power. Where we regain our power is when we remember the truth of who we are. And the truth of who you are is that you are first and foremost a divine soul, a spiritual being. You are consciousness choosing for this lifetime, for this incarnation, however long you are here on the planet, choosing to have a physical experience, choosing for a period of time to buy into the illusion of separation until you wake up in this lifetime and you remember that you are actually not separate from anything that you desire. You are not separate from the inherent qualities that is who you are, which is love, the greatest truth on earth, the greatest truth in existence is that you are love. And all that exists is love. But when we believe, when we buy into the illusion of our personality, that that is who we are, that what we do is who we are, that the roles that we play, we formulate an identity which is born from our ego, which is born from our conditioning and the paradigm that we grew up in and what we've inherited from our ancestors and what we've been told by society about what we need to do. This is where we have outsourced our power to something external. We've outsourced our power, our authentic power, to what we do, to the roles we play, to the friendships we have, to who we are and how we present ourselves in society. And that creates a separateness. And in doing that, we often forget what our authentic power is. And I can tell you now that your authentic power does not live out there. It doesn't live out there in what you do, in the action that you take, in what you create, in what you have, in what you've acquired in your home, in your job, in your car. None of that is the truth of who you are, but it's reflections of what you believe you are. So, what is the truth? If the illusion is that we are separate, then the truth of who you are is that you are everything. I want to say that again. If the illusion is that you are separate, and as long as we believe that we are separate, we are always going to be coming from an energy of trying, want, need, hustle. This is the energy of lack. We are never going to feel like we are enough if we inherently believe that we are separate. Then we are doing things to try and acquire more to make us feel something that can only be felt when we remember the truth of who you are. And the truth of who you are is that you are one with all that is. You are one with the Creator. You are not separate. And when I'm saying that, what that means is you are one with the energy, with the primordial consciousness that created everything. When you remember that, you remember your power as a soulful being, as source, to create anything that you desire. Not from need, not from want, not from lack, but from wholeness, from an intention and a desire to experience life here as a spiritual being having a human experience. So when we are creating from wholeness, we're allowing ourselves to be in the experience of life without needing anything. My friends, this is when we tap into our authentic power, and this is when we become our most magnetic self. This is when our personality is informed not by the ego, not by the roles we play, not by who we think we need to be, but instead it's informed by our soul essence. It's informed by our soul self. The old paradigm where we outsourced our power to external things is crumbling. The old paradigm where we solely believed that we are a five sensory being having a three-dimensional experience is crumbling. And this is why we're moving through this time where we can feel a little bit like we're in no man's land. We can feel a little bit like we're discombobulated. We can feel that we're not where we were. We're not that old identity. We're not tethered to that old way, but we're not quite feeling yet anchored into this new paradigm. So how do we step off the bridge? How do we move from that place of feeling discombobulated or feeling like we're in between? We remind ourselves continually. You remind yourself of this truth of who you are. I am one with all that is. I am one with the Creator. I am not separate from anything that I desire. What you desire already lives here within you. You have the ability as a multi-sensory being to feel right now what it would be like to live the experience of what you desire. You have the ability right now as a multi-sensory, multi-dimensional being that you are waking up and remembering that you are. You have the ability to tap into the version of you who is living their highest timeline, who is living in a manifested reality where their desires exist in real time. You have the capacity right now to tap into that. If I asked you to imagine that, if I invited you to feel what that would feel like, if I invited you to get to know the version of you who is living that reality now, because remember, time is also a construct of this three-dimensional world. It is also an illusion. So you have, as a multisensory being, the capacity to feel that, to know that, to imagine that. And that, my friends, is your greatest strength. It's your greatest power. It's your greatest resource. You have the capacity, the immense power to tap into that right now. And every time you do that, you strengthen a signal that you send out to the universe, and this signal is your frequency. It's where the energetic signal that's sent out from your mind, your intention, your thoughts of what you desire, that sends out a clear signal along with your heart coherence. What would it feel like to be living that reality right now? What would it feel like to be in that dream life? What would it feel like to have all my needs met in that way? What would it feel like to have it all? When you do that, you send out the clearest signal to the universe, a signal that is your dominant frequency, and you attract in who you are being. You attract in the likeness of that frequency. And that is how you connect with your highest timeline, not from want, need, or ego desires, but from true soul alignment, true soul embodiment. We are moving into a paradigm where we are meant to be creating in a more effortless way. We are meant to be creating on autopilot via our frequency, not our action. Yes, action can move from that place. Action can be inspired from that place, but it needs to be aligned with soul, not doing all the things because we think that that's what we need to do in order to earn our worth, in order to prove something, in order to be accepted. That's the old paradigm thinking. So while you're in this space in between, the more that you can come home to yourself and align with your soul and ask to be guided from that place, you're tapping into the unseen realm. And the way that the unseen realm communicates to you is through your intuition. And you have the ability to strengthen that every time you intend to make choices from your soul self, from the part of you, the aspect of you that knows you are not separate from the divine. And when you do that, it's like a muscle. You strengthen it. You strengthen your intuition. You strengthen the signal that gets sent out. And you untether from the illusions that have been keeping you in the sameness, that have been keeping you small or stuck or in a hustle mentality. You have graduated from that here on the Earth School, and you are ready to become your highest soul authority and to live as that now. And this new earth is asking you to merge with your soul and to live as that. And this is where I believe miracles can happen. This is where manifestation can happen on autopilot, can happen instantly. So if you want support with this, details are in the show notes of how I can support you with that. But let this be a reminder, if you feel like you're caught up in the external world, that you get to choose another way. And that other way begins with you befriending the aspect of you that knows you're exactly where you need to be and everything is in divine perfect order. And you get to recreate a new world, a new earth, a new reality via your most powerful resource that you have access to, which is your divine consciousness. I hope this helps. Go well.